Okay, so I've done the deck, or not the deck, the rest of the hull, the top of the hull, and the inside of the deck. I know it looks really choppy on the top of the hull. That's because I made the sides thin, which wasn't exactly a requirement, but that's no big deal. Once it'll be black, you'll be barely able to tell. Because black kind of hides shadows because you can't exactly make the darkest black a shadow. So yeah, well, that's about it for the, um, geez, I'm forgetting what it's called, the hull. Let's see if I can find the other pieces to do a kind of put together. Oh, there it is. Superstructure here, boom. Then take the head. Your clay should be closer to dry about now. It won't be perfectly dry, but that's okay. It's good enough for like tests like this. Ooh, is it Hercules or Thomas? I can't tell. So, yeah, I'm really happy with this at the moment. I don't even think you can. There we go. Can you know? Oh, you can. Okay. So yeah, that's Hercules put together at the moment, and I am loving how he's turning out. Yeah, loving it. He's all nice and smooth. Now, one of the last steps to do would be to do the hat. Because Hercules has a hat, remember? Yeah, I forgot about that too. So, let's get... we'll just keep those two pieces in the background. Nice back setup. So, the hat. I've already cut out a frame. Basically, you take a non-corrugated piece of cardboard and you make a strip. Just a strip of basic rectangular shape, like this. Yeah. Except longer, obviously. And you kind of cut it. I cut it, like so it kind of angles downward. Because Hercules' hat kind of... it's a weird shape. But, come on, stay still. Thank you. Yeah. This is the plan for the hat. If it'll stay still. Thank you. So, yeah. Hercules' hat. I don't think it's right, though. But basically, there's like an edge over the top here, which I'm gonna add. I might redo this between now and the next time you see this, just because I'm not 100% confident with the hat shape. I just gotta take a closer look at it. Okay, I will see you in the next part. Okay, I have returned with Hercules' hat, all done. Basically, well, I didn't end up using this one, even though I showed you. I made a little box out of thin cardboard. Then I kind of cut it so it's slanted. You can't tell it very well, but it's slightly slanted. Might need to slant it a little bit more, though. I don't know. Probably be edited before the final model is shown. So, yeah. I smoothened it out. Yeah, this wasn't a hard process. I just took a box, put a piece of cardboard over it after cutting the sides, and then I just, yeah, covered it in tape. It's been a lot of this model is covering it in tape, hasn't it? So, yeah, that's Hercules. I think... oh, no, I still have to do the deck. Sorry. I still have to do the deck, smoothing out the deck with the tape, and then I think we can start the final bits just before painting. We're getting pretty close, guys. I'm excited. I'll be right back with a smooth deck. Okay, the deck is smooth. So, yeah. Now we have to do the stack. Should go right about here, and the mast, and a few other small details. And I might just tape this hat on because it's getting kind of annoying. Yeah. Okay, so the stack. The stack is the giant pole behind them. I know, shocker, right? Why is it called a stack instead of a funnel? I have no idea. Sorry, I'm just cleaning up my mess back here because it is. Okay, if you're gonna do these models with me or following along or doing any model like this, period, you are going to have a butt ton of scraps. No cap, a ton. My garbage can that I have, it's full size and everything. It has been filled to the brim with this project. Okay, not this project alone, but it has been pretty much filled. Sorry. Okay, so the next bit is the stack, which it's also called the funnel in Thomas and Friends, at least. So, yes. It is this. Here's what it looks like on Hercules. It's kind of close to the back of his head. Yeah. We're not going to do all that extra piping and railing, because I don't think I'm skilled enough, and it's probably really difficult. I wouldn't know, because I've never done it. Don't plan on doing it. Or I might, really. I might, because I have another project in the works that I might end up having to do that stuff on. So, yeah. So, do you remember what we did for the head? That twisty, knobby wire thingy? Twisty, knobby wire thingy. Yes, that is the official name. Don't question it. So, we're basically going to do that same thing. Cut out a hunk of wire. Except this time, you're going to want it to be longer than the one you cut out for the head. So, if the head was this long, you're going to want it to be like this long. Just because we're going to use the same method for the stack that we use to make the head turn. Yeah. So, if you need a reminder, it is just pinch it, turn it. You're going to want it to be a little bit wider because it's a taller and probably heavier thing. So, instead of it being like kind of small, you kind of want it to be like a bigger square, I suppose. You don't have to do that, but I think it would help structurally, just so it wouldn't wobble as much. To make everything certainly flat with this, you're going to want to make sure that wires do not overcross. Like this, it's close to overcrossing, looks like it overcrossed, and that's because it did. Sorry. It looks like you do not want wires to be one over each other. Like something like this would be better. Focus. Focus. Why are you focusing on the background? There we go. Yeah. So it's a little bit of a space. And then just gonna take it. The last bend should always be super small to where it can kind of cross into the middle. So like that. Then you're just gonna flatten almost half of it. Like this. Then you're just gonna bend the middle part up. Simple as, right? And I wouldn't cut it yet, just because we haven't actually made the stack. If you noticed, Hercules' stack is angled backwards. I think all the tugs are like that. I know a few of them are, but I'm not 1,000,000% sure. So, if yours is like that already, good for you. Don't mess that up. If it's not, simple fix, just bend it back. I wouldn't recommend making it like this. More like, so it shows the height, but it also kind of represents the bending back portion. Like this, kind of. You can see it gets farther back as you go up. Yeah. gonna cut off this little bit because I think I might cut myself, and that is never a good thing. Once you have it shaped, you're gonna want to keep flattening it out, just so you kind of get a nice. Sorry. Come on, stupid camera. Smooth surface, really. So, yeah. It'll probably be a whole lot more stable once we have the stack on, because stack adds weight. Next, you're going to want to bring some more flex paper or cardboard. You might want to use a straw as a support. I might actually. Just like a straw, because they're thin. They fit around the wire pretty easily most of the time. But yeah, I'm just going to be using the basic paper structure here. So what you're going to want to do, let's get this out of the way. And this, we'll do that closer once we have the stack actually built. You're going to want to take your scissors, just kind of cut I'm just cutting old hunks off from when I cut the deck. Try to get these out of the way. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Sorry. Yeah. You're gonna want to take it. Make sure you want reference images for this. Hercules' stack, I'm thinking it's like twice the size of a head. Just like I'm thinking. I'm not sure. You kind of have to guess on some portions of the model, which, that's fine. But, yeah. That's too short, obviously. See if I can get it. Okay. That's obviously a bit too short. Jeez! What the heck? See if I can get it taller here. Hey, there we go. This is just a tiny bit too short, I'm thinking. Maybe if it were like slightest bit taller, let's see what we can do with this piece. If you have, I recommend this because it does help. If you find a piece better suited to the job, use that piece rather than just a more convenient piece. Because this piece, a second ago, had this and this attached to it. That's no big deal. And so it's not straight on one side. Who cares? Because that part, you can cut it straighter. But, as you can see, I think this part is taller than this part. Yes. Yes, it is. So, I think I might just use this piece. First you're going to want to cut all the bad bits out. Like if they're not straight on the starting end, that's fine, because you're not going to see that end. But the rest of it, you're going to kind of want it to be pretty consistent, so get it close to straight. It'll be easier to cut it straight once you have it all rolled up. Okay, so I'm going to cut a piece about this long. Yeah, why not? I got plenty of this. You can get this from like snack boxes. This is more paper actually. It's like thick poster paper. Yeah, that stuff works fine. So you're gonna want to fold it up. This part we can lower down a little bit. Just so you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm going to just kind of want to bring a corner. Make a corner. Yes, that is fine to make corners. Then you're just going to continuously roll it. You can use like a toilet paper roll or a paper towel roll Anything works, really. But this is a basic way to make a cylinder. You just roll up paper or cardboard or whatever. Chances are it will not come out perfectly circular, and that is fine. It's a very easy fix. Okay. So, boom. Looks just like that, spiral. Looks a lot tighter, but I let go. And as you see, it kind of expands. But now that we have kind of like a basic outline, we can roll it as tight as we want. Or we can make it insanely loose. So, that's the advantages of making your own tubes. Is you can choose the thickness very easily. Like, if I wanted to make it this thick, I could do that. If I wanted to make it super thin, I could do that. So, yeah. Now we're going to bring back the head. And we're just going to kind of put it up next to it. And you're going to unroll it and roll it several times. Just till you're happy with the width or the thickness of the stack. Yeah. And if you want it tighter than what you originally rolled it, just kind of roll it again. Except make more, like the second one, make it a fold. And then kind of roll from there. You want to make sure, you can go back and unroll, but you want to make sure you're kind of rolling it really tight there. If you want it thinner. If you want it thicker, don't roll it much. Yeah. So if you want it thicker, but you already have it rolled up, just let go. Tiny bits and tiny bits and tiny bits. Boom, right there. This is the thickness I want. You can want whatever thickness you want. You can make his stack as thin as his mast or thicker than his hull. Doesn't matter. But I think what I have is a happy medium. You always want a happy medium, not a sad medium. Yeah, funny pun, no. So, yeah. Now you're just going to put tape around it. They don't need to be massive pieces of tape, just thick enough to keep it together. And if it starts bowing out like this, it's fine, because just put another piece of tape down. In fact, I'd recommend putting tape like right next to each other. Just, again, for reasons with seams. Which, seams can be a real pain while model making. So you kind of really want to cover those up. Unless you're really trying to look like a factory job, then yeah, show plenty of them. Funny. So, yeah. I know you see more of my hands in the actual model, but I just have giant hands, and I apologize if any of you don't like hands. So, yeah. There's the stack. There's the stack. Boom. Okay. Bring back in the superstructure. Just put it up straight for the moment. Just to see how kind of tall you want it. I think mine's a little too tall. So I'm just going to cut it off right about here. Which, if you're wondering how you cut a cylinder without ruining its shape, that's not an option. It's going to go flat, but then it's just going to pop right back out. If you folded it tight enough. Then you just compare it to whatever you're trying to make it taller than, or whatever. However tall you think it should be. And remember, it will be kind of slanted back a little bit. So that will automatically eliminate some of its height. I think I'm going to cut it down just a tiny bit again. Okay. Pieces just go flying everywhere. Yeah. Now, because of what I just mentioned, how the piece, not the pieces will go flying, but how it's going to be slanted, this isn't exactly going to work for a slant. So you're going to kind of want to adjust, kind of just make it cut halfway back, just kind of make it slanted a little bit. Just like pick a halfway point, the point where you can slant it, and it'll look like that. Boom. I like that. As long as you're happy with your model. Doesn't matter what others say, they will criticize you. Yeah. If you think there's an issue with your model, I'd recommend looking at some reference pictures and then going back and fixing it, but unless you're happy with it. If you like that the stack's straight up, then good for you. It's your model, I can't stop you. So, right about now, we are going to be taking another strip of tape, obviously. And just, we're going to kind of cut him straight. This is kind of going to be like our smoothing tape. Sorry. So it's kind of straight on each edge. This is the kind of stuff you get when you don't clean off your scissors. You have to pull tape off other pieces of tape, and that is not typically good. So I'm going to tape it right about here. I'm just going to kind of roll it around the stack. Make sure you know where the first seam was that you just made. You're going to kind of want to overlap it, just a tiny bit, and then cut it off. Hopefully if it's straight. Hopefully it's straight. If it's not, oh well. It's fine, because we will be covering it up again in just a second. But you're going to want to do that all the way down the stack. And you're going to kind of want to, you see that there's, right here. Jeez, why won't this thing focus? Of all times, not to focus. There's a line right there where it started. Right there. Yeah, you're going to want to follow that. But first, cut off the rough edges. Yeah. Find where your first piece stemmed up. Not stem, seamed. Got a steam. Seam. Can't talk. Okay. And then you're going to want to roll it kind of like that. Just kind of want to line them up. So they're not perfectly lined up, that's fine. It will still look good, probably. Hopefully. Yeah. It will have a tendency to come undone sometimes. But that's just an easy fix. Just go back and push it down. And how you know if it's straight all the way around is if these two, the top of this piece and the seam, top of the seam line up. Ooh, crisp. Crisp, crisp, crisp. And I love it. I would recommend trying to keep all the seams on one side. They don't all have to be directly down in one line together. But I would recommend keeping them on one side. Just so you kind of know where all of them are. Instead of having one seam here, and one seam here. Just do one seam on one side. And I do say side, even though technically cylinders do not have sides. Because they are supposed to be circular. But 90% of the time they're not perfectly circular. Close enough, though. It's okay if you cut excess. The modeling is also a really good time to just like practice existing, you know? And you do kind of have to have patience, at least some level of it, when you do this kind of stuff, just so you are sure of what you're doing, and if you get mad, you don't break anything. Because sometimes breaking stuff on a model can be a nightmare, because if you break something, you have to go back and remake it, and if you remake it, it might not be as perfect as the first time. And perfection isn't always a great thing, but if you have anything like this, keep it. It's because it can be used later on. Yeah. So, yeah, there's the seams. Again. Where is it? It's right here. Oh, it's right on. Okay. See, that one I think I cut a little bit too far, but that's no big deal. And one last strip for the bottom part of it. I usually cut them about this long. Yeah. I don't know if that's important to any of you people, but I don't know. Might be. I do kind of like to quiet down when I'm actually applying stuff like this, because then you can try to get it closer to perfect. That way, because then it's kind of like a focus thing. So I'm sorry if I don't talk during these kind of segments. I'm trying to follow the seam along the upper piece of tape, because the upper piece of tape was close enough to straight. Okay. I think we're on the seam side here. Where are we? Where are we? Okay, we're right there. And they lined up. Great. Stupid end piece. If you have excess, cut that off as soon as possible, because it will get in your way. Plenty and plenty of times. I forget it's slanted. So, since I just mentioned I forgot that it was slanted, let's go and fix the tape. Because the tape will undoubtedly be straight. So, of course, you're going to need to try to trim it, just so it doesn't get in the way. Yeah. Now that we have this shape, we're going to want to take our excess pieces of tape. Is this piece long enough? No. Still keeping it, but no, it's not long enough for this. What you're going to want to do is get out of here. Come on. Okay. Sorry, tape stuck to my fingers. Take a piece like this. Find which edge is slanted, just so you know where it all is. We're gonna start with the seam side. We're just gonna cover it up. Just kind of vertically, like this. And then we're just gonna trim the excess off. We're just gonna wrap it around the edges here. This you don't have to be precise with the first piece. I'd still recommend being precise, but it's not a major deal if you don't, because then you just have to cut the rest of the pieces to fix the first piece. Which I've done that a few times with this project. Like back in the beginning, like 3 hours ago, when I made Warrior, it was, the pieces weren't perfectly, connected to the bottom portion. Or the hull, when I was making the hull, they weren't perfectly connected to it. So all I did was went back and fixed it. Sometimes you will cut a piece that's too short, like this piece. Too short, because it doesn't go all the way to the top. You're just going to tear that off, put it back with your large excess pieces, and then make sure the next one is longer. At least long enough to kind of get it almost straight. I keep saying straight, even though straight is a very difficult thing to accomplish, especially when you're not using tools. Like rulers and stuff. Rulers are nice to help find straight things. Like when I was doing the lining for Donald and Douglas's tender on the most recent custom showcase, you should go watch that. But when I was doing their lining, I used a ruler, a flexible ruler to kind of, or not a flexible one, a normal ruler, just to kind of help me get the straight parts right. Because I have the hardest time in the world getting something straight. And if I hear one comment about me having a hard time getting something straight, then you're going to have an issue with me. Okay, the last little section here. This would require a skinnier piece like this. This was from earlier, back when I was doing the deck. But it'll come in handy. This is why you keep your excess, because then you don't waste tape. Wasting tape can be like the worst crime in the world, even worse than murder. Because you know how expensive tape is? For a sheet of paper that's sticky on one side and can come in different colors. Ooh. It's like $3 a roll. Even though the rolls are rather large, but meh. Okay. Cool. As you can see, much smoother. And if you notice the wrinkles that we used to have back after just wrapping it around the horizontally way, those are gone now, because the vertical tape wrapped around them and just disappeared. The more layers of tape you put on a surface, the less defined it will get on a surface. If I were to wrap this hunk of cardboard here in tape, it would be thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker. But if I were to have a little bump in said piece of cardboard, that little bump would become thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner. Because the more layers for small bumps like that, the more the bumps disappear. Which, that's honestly a neat trick. Just to know when working with this stuff. I usually work with hot glue, but I think I might start using tape in more of my projects. So, yeah. So now we have the stack and we have the base. If you remembered how we did the base earlier, we just took a piece of tape. Since the top part's already smooth, I'm going to try to make it smaller so we don't see the way I did it as much. Because I already smoothed out the top, which now I'm realizing was a mistake. Smoothing should most likely be last. But that's not a big deal. Just kind of guess. Place it. Okay, it should look good. Keyword should. So, where you place the stack is kind of important. If you have it too far back, it'll look really weird, then there's this giant gaping hole. But if you have it way too close, the head won't be able to turn. So you kind of want to put it between that. So if it were like this, and we're going to do the same thing how we did the head and fill it with clay, but I'm just going to leave it empty. And looking at Hercules' picture, the stack is closer to the back of the head. So I'm thinking it'll just barely cut off. A little bit more. Right about there. Perfect. Perfect. Boom. Okay. Now, if you've already smoothened out the top of the superstructure, like me, you're going to want to put this piece of tape closer, like this. Ow. Closer, so the small side. So then when the head is straight on, it kind of covers this seam. Yeah. And then the rest of it will just continue onto the back, making it look like it was a part of the smoothness. The smoothing process. Sorry. So I'm going to remove the head, and I'm going to place it right about here. Wait, make sure it's centered. We learned that from the head earlier, didn't we? Make sure the back part, it's all kind of bent back. You know what, I'm going to put the head back in, just to be safe. I'm just going to see if it can stay raised up a little bit. There we go. Yep, we're just going to put it underneath the head, so it can barely spin, like right here. Probably be the closest it's going to get to the stack. So then we're going to put the stack down. It's going to lean back. So, yeah, right about here. Perfect. Then we're going to kind of adjust it so it's centered. No. So the tape is centered, and so the wire is kind of centered. You do kind of want a way to access it underneath. I know I've said that like 3 million times in this video, but I cannot stress that enough. Because if you don't, you will have the hardest time applying any of these. Because then you cannot push the spiral bit into the cardboard below. Okay. Yeah. Once you have that part, you're just gonna kind of want it. You're gonna kind of wanna hold this down in the front. Just bend it back just a tiny bit. So then it'll look like this. Hopefully. Something along those lines. And Hercules' head. So it'll look something like that. Our models will not look alike. They will not look just like each other. They'll look pretty close, but they won't look just like each other. So yeah, that's the stack. The mast is pretty much the same process, so I'm not going to do that on camera. So I will be back when the mast is complete, and we can move on to the boat deck. Hold on. One more thing. I have forgotten to fill the stack with clay. So, this, like I mentioned earlier, it'll probably be a heavier piece. Yeah, that was foreshadowing. Same process as the head, really. Just take it and stuff it in there. But you're not going to want to make it just giant chunks. You're going to want to kind of roll it up. So you kind of get a tube-like structure. If you're wondering how you roll clay, or putty, or anything, it's just that motion right there. Yeah, then you're just going to kind of stuff it in the hole. You can probably do this 3 or 4 times. You might want to do one from the top, too. Just so it doesn't get mashed up in the middle. And even if it does, it's fine, but the top. We're going to tape over the top, though, anyway, so I guess it really doesn't matter, but this will help to add some weight to our cardboard model. Yeah, and the weight is usually good when working with cardboard. Unless you want something like fold open or whatever. But that's a story we won't go into for a while, I'm presuming. Okay. So you find the crooked side. Is it leaning back? Yeah, it's leaning back. Okay. I'm going to kind of get it right about here. Yeah, that's right about centered. Yeah, that's the stack. You're just going to let that dry, like the head. And the mast is basically the same thing. So I won't even do that part on camera. I'll do it, but I won't do it on camera. Okay, so now I'll be back with the boat deck. Okay, guys. So, as you can see, I am a liar. I was originally going to make it the mast, just like how we made the stack here. But now I realize this was the original mast, way too thick. Then I tried to make a second one. A little better, but we're still way too thick. Then I came across this in my junk drawer. I'm like, hey, that's super thin. It can be really tall. Will it work for a mast? And I went upstairs, got a new one, and sure enough, it did. What a story. There we go. Boom. So the mast is super thin and super tall. Then I just filled it with clay, did the exact same wire thing, and then you want to remember how you smoothed out the top of the superstructure? Because you'll do a strip that has a hole in the mast in it, lead it to the back and to the stack, and then cut it smoothly there. Then you're going to do another strip like that for the stack, but it comes to the bottom of the wire and to the head. And then it's going to look all bumpy. So then you're going to take two other strips and go along the sides, which is just what I did. But if you smoothed out your superstructure differently than I did, then you're going to want to follow that pattern. So, yeah, just filled this with clay and boom. Now we have a mast. Now, boat deck. Come on. Okay, boat deck. Okay, so looking at a picture of Hercules, his boat deck fits between the mast and the stack, but it's closer to the stack. And do you remember this piece from way back when I was making the hat? This piece? Which I will probably edit it, actually, because it's way too big. But, yeah. I think this might be the piece that we use for the boat deck. Just straighten it out and just do exactly what I did for the hat. You know? It's not hard. Just cut it out. Which I've already cut it out, so that's no big deal. Just gotta straighten it out now. Yeah. Boom. Straightened out. Perfect. Boom. Perfect. So, now what we are going to do is take a small hunk of cardboard. Just kind of make sure it fits over. Here. Sorry. Let's just kind of make sure it kind of fits over the top of the boat deck area. Just a wee bit too thin, but that's fine because it'll be filled out with a tape. Tape will fill it out. You know, no big deal. Now we have our square, cover up the boat deck. It won't be perfect at all, especially if you're doing it sloppily as I am, but you know, you can't be more precise. Put it down on the cardboard and trace it out. Then cut that shape out. Boom, right there. Now, we're going to tape it. You don't need, if your tape is wider than your piece, you don't need to smoothen out the ends. for this one. See if we can get a good angle so I can do it how I can see good and you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so let's see. Sorry, I want to give you guys a good viewing experience. Okay, you might need to shorten it a bit if it's too long. Which I can already tell. See, it can be all rough like that on the inside, because no one's going to see it from the inside. If you can, make sure your tape lines up with the top piece of cardboard. That's good. Because, well, it'll, one, be easier, and two, you won't need as much tape. Undo that part here. Just kind of line it up. Is it working? Yeah, it's no. Boom. And then you can just wrap it like that. This is probably one of those really quiet selective moments. And by selective, I mean focusing. I don't know why I said selective instead of focusing, but just because you'd need it smaller and all that, it's just easier to do it quietly. Boat deck. Boom. You know what would help if you put the sticky side of the tape on the actual object? Come on, dude. You're doing a tutorial for YouTube. Don't be a fool. Sorry, talking to myself. Because I just tried to stick it on with the sticky side facing me instead of the object I am working on. The only reason I do the ends here is because it kind of covers up that it's connected to cardboard. Because the more cardboard you can hide, the better results of a project you'll get. And results that are good are always nice. Because then you know that you did a good job on your model. And somebody, I'm sure, will appreciate you for it. Boom, boat deck. So, yeah, that wasn't hard, was it? It's basically just like the hat. And it fits right in there, too. Yeah. Let's get our giant hat on here. Hercules' hat is way too long. You know, let's see if I can fix that, because this is really bugging. What about right here? Oh, yeah, that's good enough. Good enough. Good enough can often be considered great. You know, your good enough might be someone's fantastic. I don't know where I'm going with that, but just a random fact, I suppose. Just a little bit of the hat making process. It's because I know someone's going to ask me. I'm kidding. Nobody comments on my videos. Unless it's related to season 25 or a showcase, nobody comments on my videos. I like reading comments. You guys are interesting to read about. Or not read about, but read. I like talking to you. I just filled it in with tape because cardboard is really small. And if there's a spot where you can just fill in with tape, go ahead and do it, because that is so much easier than cutting out the tiniest bit of cardboard ever. There, looking better. So it's not giant, it's better. Better. So yeah, that was the boat deck and a little portion of the hat. I'm not sure if I'm going to do those lifeboats. I'm not sure how I'm going to tackle those. but I will likely give them a try for you people. So I will be right back with the lifeboat. Okay, I've returned with the lifeboats. And the boat deck. Lifeboats are just two little pieces of that thin cardboard taped together, and then I filled in the bottom with tape. Then I took another piece of that thin cardboard, folded it into like this indent shape, then I could just put the insides over it to kind of store them. And this will make sure they do not just sit up there and wiggle around. I'm honestly thinking of doing something like this for the hat, just to make sure, just like temporary thing. Maybe in the future, just to make sure it doesn't wiggle about. Yeah, that was really simple, honestly. Simpler than I was expecting, actually. So, yeah. That was the lifeboats. I've done the hat, the lifeboats, the boat deck, the mast. But there was one little thing I am forgetting. If you see on Hercules' model here, there's a flag at the back part here. It's not attached to the mast for whatever reason. When, like, I think every other tug has it attached to the mast. But, yeah. I think I'm gonna have to do that. I'm not sure how, because of how small it is. It's super thin. I can't use a straw. Actually, I think I can. Just cut off a little bit here. Throw the rest of this one away. I'm just gonna take... Whoa. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Bad camera movement. I think I can just cut this in half. It's smaller than the stack by a long shot. So maybe if I just kind of roll it in on itself. It's thinner than the mast now. Maybe I should try that. Let's try that. Piece of tape here. Small piece, not a ton. Okay. I wasn't sure if I was going to actually end up doing this part. But, I mean, why not? If I'm figuring it out, so why not, right? Sorry. Just hit the camera again. I'm not used to working with the camera right in front of me. Usually, when you guys see me working, it's slightly off to the side. But, actually, this might be like the perfect height. And then it's very slanted, so just cut the edge off here. It's like more slanted than the other ones, the other things. The mast and the stack, there we go. It's like that. Maybe not that dramatically slanted, but get off. Clean off through the scissors. There we go. Maybe more like this. Nope. And it's too short now. Here, let's... Do I have another piece? Yep, I have another piece. Good. We're not cutting the height much of this new piece. Sorry, let's get it so I don't hit the camera again. Or that the camera doesn't slip. Or do that. But how often does that happen? Jeez. I've noticed that when you cut it, it kind of curls into itself anyway. See if I can get the tape to be neater this time. Because I think I'll actually just do this for the flagpole. Sorry. I had to. It was either that or you'd get an eye full of hand, which is not as cool as this project. Freaking scissors. Come on, get off. Tape will get stuck to your fingers constantly during this, just so you're well aware. Do this little section right here. Boom, like that. And then I just gotta make it slightly slanted. I'm looking at it close. I'm looking at the picture off screen just to make sure I'm much closer than I was a second ago. Sorry about the background noise, by the way. Okay, now we have a very thin pole. I think it's too tall. Probably closer to here, maybe? Okay, yeah, right there. I think, actually, I'm thinking that this is actually kind of less slanted now. Taking a... Nope, there we go. It's perfect right there. Will the wire even fit inside there? Just barely. I don't think I'm going to do that tactic. I'm just going to tape it on there. Just to get over with it. Because this is a very simple piece here. Yeah. How am I going to tape it on? Guess I could always just do this, but I don't think it's going to look good. Nope, because I... tape it on like that. Get these two garbage pieces out of here. There we go. Maybe. Sorry, I know you can't see a lot of what I'm doing. I'm just smoothing it out, doing basically tape cutting to make it smoother. It's basically all I'm doing. Yeah. This isn't really an essential detail, and I might just skip it if I can't figure out a way to tape it on. But... because this is actually starting to get on my nerves now. So, yeah. No. Okay, yep, I'm skipping this. It doesn't look totally incomplete without it. I'll just do the flag on the mast. Because I think that's what the official toy people would have done. Just because, like, every other tug has it that way, except for Hercules. So, yeah. There is another look at the almost completed model, guys. Looking super smooth. I'm actually really enjoying the look of this. Although, the hat. The hat is getting on my nerves. Now it is way too small. Where is that piece? From the old hunk of the hat. I'm not even going to bother looking for it because we all know it's gone. So, okay. We are going to attempt the hat one last time. I found a hat that was too long, too short. Now we're doing a part 3 for the hat just to make it just the tiniest bit bigger in the back. I don't know why I'm having so much... why me and this hat aren't getting along, honestly. I think it's him, but whatever. I'm going to bring the head down here. And I just totally destroyed the boat deck. Well, here's the hat. I'm thinking it's going to be right about here. right about here. I'm looking at the model, and I'm thinking, that's accurate. But then you see there's this space at the back that isn't supposed to be there. So I'm going to try and fill it with this piece. Or multiple pieces of this. Sorry. Or I might just wrap tape around this to make it thicker, because I have a whole bunch of extra tape from earlier in the project. So I'm going to do that. Just wrap it around. I'm going to wrap it around the long way as to not to waste tape, because wasting tape is worse than murder. I will swear to you, if you use too much tape on your model, then it will not, one, look ugly if you overuse it, but two, it will, you'll run out of tape really fast. Most likely several times, too. Because you keep running out of tape, so you can't complete the model. It will only push the finish date, release, finished product, I don't know. It'll push the completion of your model back and back and back and back. Which for me, that's fine. I love just working on models. That's why I do commissions. So, yeah. I might just open these for commissions, just to do. If this turns out well, I might just do that. Why isn't this cutting? Thank you. Just... No. Okay, let's take a look at it. The piece of cardboard has certainly gotten thicker, but here and then right here. Ugh. Come on. On the bright side, it is long enough so we could just barely bend the corners. Barely bend the ends and the corners. So instead of... Okay. Instead of this, we can do it like this. Yeah. And then there is just enough on this end to barely bend it again. And now we're going to find the thin tape, just so we are able to tape this on to the side. Just so it is completely attached. Hopefully forever. Probably not. Because I'll probably redo this hat 12 million more times. I just hate this hat at the moment. Third attempt at making a hat. I know you can't see a majority of this on screen, but it's small, so it's working closer to my face. That helps me. Yeah, if you know little tricks or anything that'll help you along the way with this, do them, because just do it. It'll turn... Your model will look so much better, and you will be so much more proud of yourself the better it looks. Or functions, even. Because it could be a structural thing, or even a device thing. I don't know if device would be the right word to describe a head spinny, that wire setup that we have to spin the head around. Okay, now we have the back of the hat cut. The corner was a little bit too small on one side, so now I'm trying to adjust it, and adjusting works better when it's closer up in my face. Okay, so now we're going to tape this on to the back. Try to make sure. Put it out where you want it, the hat on the head, and then try to make sure the back kind of lines up with the back of the head or wherever it stops. Like on Hercules, it's the back of the top part of the head. because I don't know what that back part is. Some boat person is probably really angry at me for just calling it the head. Can't blame him. I don't know much about boats, so. Okay, now that is done. Come on, don't be a pain. Okay. Now, as you can see, oh my gosh, it's pointing out. Really? This hat is a never-ending struggle. Just shave their heads and just paint the head on, would you? Saves you so much of your lifespan. Just forgetting the hat, and just boom, looks good like what it is now. Just do the brim of the hat. No big deal. But I am also noticing something else. The original hat isn't as slanted as the actual hat. I'm noticing. Or maybe I just put it upside down. Like that. Maybe. Well, to react to that, I'm going to make the back more. Or no, I'd make it less. Yeah, I'm going to trim down the back a little bit. Just so it sits. Okay, so that has worked much better. Now it is kind of angled up. Kind of. Here, let's cut the back off again. Just a little bit. Okay, so as you can see, we got the hat in shape. I like this. This shape looks much more Hercules-like. I cut out a little piece of cardboard because there's like a top brim of his hat-ish. So, yeah, I just cut that, and I kind of want to dry that to dry into the clay. If it doesn't, that's fine. We're probably going to end up covering it in tape anyway. So, yeah. I think that the sculpting and building and look of this model is complete. Yeah, let me put it together so you guys can see our awesome model that we've made together in this journey here. I do consider you guys making this with me, just because I do plan on using this for something to show with you guys. So yeah, sorry, ignore the loud noises. My family is upstairs. So, boom. There is the Hercules model. And I have to say, this is turning out very, very good. I am loving the shape of this. So, I am going to call it a day for today, and we will come back with this in the next video or tomorrow. I'm not sure. So, yeah, tomorrow will probably be any final touches, like installing this brick so that doesn't constantly fall off. Any final smoothing we have to do. And then we can probably get on to the painting, guys. Woo! We're coming to the end of this very long tutorial. With this is probably going to be the cutoff for like a part 2. But yeah. Anyway. So I will see you guys in the next video, which will probably either be a custom showcase or completing Hercules. Okay? I will see you in the next video. Bye.